I said, give me a hell yeah.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to a corporate ladder ascending. Shreds of normalcy implementing right into your brainwaves. Matt in a double or nothing building episode of The Brothers. Right here, look at that. Yeah, Brothers, a discussion. Woo! We're going to talk everything from this weekend's Money in the Bank build of another week of the Wednesday Night Wars. And, Matt, we're going to make some time to check in on who is and who isn't a zombie. Matt, another spicy, hot, flavorful week of professional wrestling. Looks like you're doing a lot better. You have 2 eyes this week. How the heck are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk Money in the Bank. I got my fancy new green screen behind me, and I'm pretty
Great. I don't
stoked.
understand. It looks like you're just checking in from Jacksonville.
I am reporting live from TIAA Field, right? Oh wait,
Yes.
We,
See if you can zoom in.
TIAA
TIAA Bank Field.
Yeah.
Looks like the boys are striking
They're
a
still-
tableau for you there. Yep.
Yeah, they're still hanging out. What's going on, boys? Woo!
You gotta flick them off back, man.
Oh,
Yeah, that'll teach them. All
it's
right.
like I couldn't do it. I couldn't turn and not, so I had to lift it. I was thinking about like changing the background when we got to like different things we wanted to talk about. Maybe I should pull up like a Money in the Bank one. That seems like a pretty good idea.
It's
if you
like
want
a screensaver. It's just the ladder continuously going up. Yeah.
well, I thought we'd just do the Money in the Bank logo. I'm not quite as talented enough to figure out how Zoom's gonna take a video and start pushing that out. All right, where were we? You want to find us at brothersofdiscussion.com and bodpodcast.com. You can find us on every single podcasting platform, including Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Breaker, Overcast, Radio Public, Stitcher, Anchor. We are now on YouTube and IGTV, so we hope that you're enjoying checking out these videos. Just keep following along, and if you could, subscribe, rate, and review the most important ones if you want to help support the show. Apple and YouTube does us a great deal of help to follow along there and subscribe. Of course, on both channels, we are doing the Brothers of Discussion show, which is weekly, and the Discussion 5 about our very own Detroit Red Wings. Maybe you're not a fan of hockey. Maybe you're not a fan of the Detroit Red Wings. But
you are a fan of us.
We are here for you to talk it. So please find us there, and we actually have everything sorted. So if you're not a fan of one of those shows, it is properly sorted. So you're only going to watch the content you need. But again, do us a favor, subscribe, rate, and review, and share everything as well. It helps us a great deal. So we appreciate it. Mike, let's talk. We got a lot to talk today, and we're always trying to keep these episodes under an hour. So why don't we jump into WWE Wrestling news, as we like to put it, as our first section every week. Mike, AJ is back, and as we texted each other on Monday, the most disappointing part of him being back is that there's no continuity of him being buried by The Undertaker. Really wanted to see what was going to happen there, and he's back. He even made the statement, like, fuck story, I'm just AJ Styles, and I'm going to win the Money in the Bank.
Same old AJ. Doesn't have a manager. Could be doing his promos for him. Same old AJ. Not a ghost. Just regular old AJ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no cream or sugar added. Not even a dark roast. Probably light.
Not a medium
flavorless.
not a medium roast. Just a light roast, caffeine free, in a white nondescript mug. No steam. Just a brown.
All right. Well, now
Flair.
everybody's asleep. Johnny Gargano is
Light tan.
back. I don't know if you want to break down AJ being back.
Just keep going.
I mean, yeah, it is disappointing that he came back and they do this awesome battle with The Undertaker that fans had all the reason in the world not to love, and there was a lot of love that came towards it. And it's just, you know what? Why can't we just try and do something connected to it? I don't know if it's just because Apollo Crews was never supposed to sniff Money in the Bank, but here we are. AJ's back. And nothing special. Maybe later we'll find out that there is something special going on because AJ specifically addressed that he's not a zombie. So maybe they're just trying to keep it like, oh, that was a possibility.
They're planting that seed. Yeah, that eventually he's going to be like a Bray Wyatt zombie or something.
Yeah, and when I talked weeks ago, you know what, we've talked since the show started that is one of the biggest issues with trying to invest yourself in this goddamn fucking company and pro wrestling in general is it's always why do you care? Why do we care about the storylines? Because they're going to mean absolutely nothing the next week. And if this really does turn out to just be AJ's back, the match never happened. What the fuck did we watch it for? Why does The Undertaker come back?
Yeah, I mean, I apologize. I lingered on that bit for too long, but it's just we've been without AJ for 6 weeks, and then this is what he comes back to do. He ends the tail end of a gauntlet match, and then he does a promo where he's like, "I'm just regular old, light roasted, no cream or sugar, AJ Styles." I don't know. I think they could have done more. I guess he was on his little
yeah, of course.
His little AJ vignettes thing. What is it? What's he on now? Vimeo, or I don't know what he's on. And he was saying, yeah, I wish I could have came back with a little more pomp and circumstance. I don't know. I mean, that's a guy, I think, because we're going to talk about Charlotte in a minute. That's a guy who, if he showed up at NXT, I think people would have spit coffee all over their TV. But yeah, we put him in the Money in the Bank match. So, he's back.
Hopefully he doesn't fall off the roof. Mike, you also wanted to talk about Johnny Gargano being back with the mean song.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to say he's back. I want to say, because it was 1 week he wasn't on TV, so he's just now featuring a new tough guy song.
Yeah, they're doing that thing. I think the most recent example was Bailey, who Bailey and Johnny both had cartoonishly pleasant, happy entrance themes. High energy, intended to get you clapping long and out of your seat, and now they both kind of have the mean version.
Johnny's at least had a nice, guitar riff to it, and it had that hot start. It was objectively better, but it was designed to get the same effect, I think is what I'm saying. But yeah. He's got a new mean song. His wife has a new hair color. Now Johnny wrestles like a bad guy, and I guess it was somewhat successful for him. I wish that it wasn't at the expense of our beloved Dijakovic, who's a friend of the show. But that was an odd match too, because it kind of looks like sometimes Dominic, it's like I don't know if it's a chemistry thing or something, but we know how agile he is. We've seen him versus Keith Lee, where he's doing those backflips over the top rope. Right.
In this match, it just looked like he was wrestling in cement for some reason. I don't know if they're trying to because he's too quick for how big he is.
I think
so they got to show him down so Johnny has some advantage. But
I think he needs to get called up to the main roster to fight some of the bigger guys, because that's the problem. I think he's built to be fighting, McIntyre. He's not built to be fighting tiny Gargano. No. That's even an issue I saw in the Charlotte and Io match, where Io's kind of tiny too, and just some clumsiness where you've got the bigger fighters in Dijakovic and Charlotte, and they're stomping around. They want to run, but then all of a sudden they've already hit their opponent. So when the lariat comes out over or clothesline, they're slowing down and then doing it because they also have to lower. There's an elbow that's got to. It's just the compatibility between those different sized opponents when they probably aren't purposefully going out of their way to practice and make sure there's a whole nother style. that they've accomplished, or at least have memorized when they're facing someone so much smaller. But the other thing too with Dijakovic is he's been built up as the hybrid, one of the hybrid superstars. Kind of the same thing as like McIntyre's doing it well, but could Dijakovic do it even better? Kind of thing where we've seen him move a little bit better. And does that move style work when you've got a guy who can do flips better than you because his body style is built that way? So sure, Dijakovic is super impressive with his size, and it's something we've never seen before. But once he starts matching it up with Gargano, and Gargano can just do so much more because he's so much lighter, like does it still have the same sense of awe? And there's a lot of variables that go into it, but yeah, I guess that wasn't even the point of bringing this up. We just want to talk about Gargano's son.
No, I think it's funny that you do bring that up because I think we know, like, we associate like lower difficulty, high flying moves with Dijakovic, like what his body's capable of as a 6'5", like 270-pound man. You know what I mean? So there's that. So what's funny is that knowing that people like him exist, people like Keith Lee exist, I honestly can't really remember Drew McIntyre doing top rope like those. It looks like he puts his arms at his sides, Undertaker style, like a crucifix. And he's doing like a top rope suicida. And now all of a sudden that's in his repertoire. And I don't know if that's kind of him like looking over the fence and seeing that, oh man, these other big guys can do that. Oh, fuck it, I guess I'll start doing it too. And then, the big hairy man is flying through the air. I think it's as unnerving as if, Chewbacca was doing that. A 7-foot agile monster, flipping head over heels over the top rope. So Chewie or Drew McIntyre?
Yeah, Drew McIntyre. Yeah, he's 2 feet taller than Chewbacca, so this just doesn't make sense.
He's 9 feet if he's a foot.
No, he's he's like 6 inches.
I don't think that's a coincidence, Matt. The more these guys get popular, and then all of a sudden Drew starts putting that in his repertoire, and it looks seamless, looked great. I just don't remember him seeing that, seeing that as often from him in the past. But another kind of weird push here, Matt. Vink, a 6'5", 265-pound Australian project that
terrible
the
transition.
WWE
You should have said, Matt, what do you think about Shane Thorne getting the win over? We had all the opportunity in the world to use that name.
The crowd was really clamoring for that pun, man. What a great pun we missed out on. I don't know what I was thinking on that one. Oh, that's great. My computer is got a thorn in it. All right, it's working again. So, Matt, Vink got to pin Ricochet clean.
I think we all heard what you said, Rick. Cedric said.
I said Rick.
You said Rick.
Oh, man, he's on fire over there, man.
How did they not use Cedric Ricochet? Like, how is that not?
Cedric Ricochet.
What are they called? Big Fly?
They have a tag team name?
Something like that. I saw it on Bleacher Report.
I know that they both come out to the cartoon intro.
Two Fly. They're Two Fly. Two Fly.
Man, I thought this was like one of their golden geese, like a T-shirt seller. And now Ricochet's getting pinned clean by some guy named Vink. Matt, big plans for the 6'5" guy.
What are my big plans? Yeah, I guess I'm gonna watch him when he's on Raw next week. I'm gonna probably not buy his T-shirt. I'm gonna be pretty disappointed that
you aren't gonna buy his T-shirt. What if it's a cute Vink pun?
I mean, yeah, if it is cute, but I doubt they're not gonna come up with something cute for Vink. He's such a badass. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. I think the better question of what are our plans are like what's going on with Ricochet? How quickly is he leaving the WWE that all of a sudden they have this new tag team? And
first he's a singles guy, then he's in the tag team, then he loses as a tag team.
Well, yeah, he's getting all of a sudden this tag team has like the revival treatment where it's like it's a complete joke now when you lose to Vink and Shane Thorne. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm pretty sad. I think for Two Fly. Who they have to immediately take off the two. They have to just be called Fly now because they lost. So, it's something. I guess it would be boring if we just had like Two Fly going over these guys, because what the hell are we watching this for? And we just see like week after week tag teams fighting these nothing guys, and we see this kind of thing happening on WWE programming and AEW programming, and just guys out of nowhere going down for the pin. It just kind of sucks that if they're gonna all of a sudden pick couple of guys out of nowhere to get a win, that it's Two Fly that has to take the loss. I think that's just the most disappointing part. I think I'm happy for Vink and Shane Thorne, and let's start to build up a division maybe. Let's have some guys, kind of in the same vein that we want maybe somebody in the women's division to take down Charlotte Flair, or maybe just to carry it without her even being there. It's fine that Vink and Shane Thorne get the win, but again, it does sort of hurt that it's Two Fly that goes down. Remember, Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler became a tag team out of nowhere, and then they won the tag titles like
2 weeks into their run.
Yeah, so like Two Fly gives it a shot, and they're going down to two guys out of nowhere. So maybe Ricochet and Cedric are breaking up again, but it's not.
I guess. Like the way the WWE machine works, and how they sit in a lab and try to put like your character and your entrance and your name together. Like Vink and Shane Thorne don't really have an entrance. Vink doesn't even have a name. It's just Vink. It's really close to the Fink, and we already had the Fink, so now we have the Vink. And then they don't. I can't even remember them winning in NXT, and I know these are young guys. So it feels like their first win is at Ricochet's expense. So it's just kind of a puzzling way to kind of build these guys, I guess. I know they've wrestled in NXT, but it's just kind of.
I mean, now we're going in circles here about how disappointing this is.
Let's do the bottom line here, Matt. Is it time to panic as a Ricochet fan, or are they just kind of treading water with him until there's something for him to sink his teeth in?
Well, I guess that's kind of what I was saying with he's getting like this revival treatment with a loss like this. So I wonder if he is headed out. I just remember the tears streaming down his face when he was in his first Raw match, and how excited he was to be on Monday Night Raw. So I don't know if he is headed out the door. It just seems weird to make that decision on Ricochet, especially with him getting like some monster pushes right when everything started. I don't know if there's too much to pull from this yet, because we have to see what happens next week. Because remember, AJ Styles was buried alive, Michael, on fucking WrestleMania, and he came out and gave us all the middle finger this past Monday and said, "Fuck y'all, none of that happened." So who knows? Maybe Ricochet wins the tag titles next Monday.
Matt, Ricochet may be out the door, but the fans in Florida might be coming back in. What are you hearing over there, Matt?
What am I hearing?
You're physically in Florida, so what are you hearing? What's going on across the street there?
Right. Well, actually, we saw some fans in during the AEW Dynamite, didn't we?
I don't know. I think those were wrestlers. I think.
Weren't they? They were little kids.
Marco Stunt? I don't know. He's there with his brothers and sisters. I don't know.
No, there were little kids.
The whole
there.
Stunt family was there.
No, I'm telling you, there were little kids that were like 4 feet away from that.
Well, it's just
from
weird
the Matt
because
Hardy Omega stuff.
They were only there for that. They weren't there for the rest of the AEW show. That was still just wrestlers around the ring.
Well, what was good is everybody had a mask on, so that was nice. But you're still kind of thinking like,
including Jake the Snake. I was pretty proud of that. So good for the fans, but also Jake the Snake. He's not a young man, so I'm glad that he had his face covered.
Well, then the funny thing is that then Kenny Omega and Sammy are also, 3 feet away from these folks that are watching, and they don't have masks on. So you need it both ways for it to work. Anyway, so yeah, the Florida governor announced that you can have fans in arenas now, and part of that was even like a specific mention of WWE and AEW programming and how they can have people attend. I think that it is at this point the WWE's responsibility and AEW's responsibility to not do that, to not just say, okay, that's great that the Florida government is happy to go against, I guess, national recommendations. I guess there's not really like a law or anything of keeping people out of those large gatherings. So it's fine that Florida wants to make that decision, but we still know that it's not safe yet. So let's not do that. Otherwise, I guess 1,000 or however many sections there are in the arena, and you can have 100 people show up, and that's it. Somebody's gonna get lucky and get to sit in a suite, but you know what? That's just how the cookie crumbles. So each section gets one person. You don't get a family member. They can be in a different part of the arena, and that's it. And they all have to enter the arena like within a half hour, like 30-minute intervals. It's like at Disney World when you get your Rise of the Resistance ticket, where you have to arrive at this time, and this is your boarding pass. This is when you can go on the ride. Same thing with entering these arenas. You have, from 9 till 9:30, you can enter the arena. If you miss it, you're done. You lose out. So, yeah, if we're going to allow 100 people in, and then we have half-hour intervals between everybody entering, sure. And then they also have to wait till all of the AEW workers have... so they're coming in before the ring is put together, and then they have to stay for the ring to be taken apart. Then all of the AEW employees have to leave, and then they can start filing out every half hour. And if they miss their half hour, they have to wait till everybody else left. So, sure, let's let people in. How does that sound? All right.
That sounds like a great experience as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Long story short, this shouldn't be happening. There's a reason the rest of the country,
If you thought that explanation took a long time, just wait till you're trying to go to the event.
Yeah, like Shanghai Disneyland is back open. They're opening at so normally they have 88,000 people is capacity. That would be full capacity. They're only allowing 23,000. You have to have had reservations to come into the park like a month ahead of time. You are being pre-screened for fever and
pre-screened
before you enter Shanghai
so like outside
Disneyland.
The gate?
Well, yeah, they're not gonna. Oh, let them in, and then we'll check you when you're in line for the rides. It's fine.
Well, before like those lines are ripe for spreading disease too.
Yeah, that's why they're probably gonna have like 6 feet apart, before you can actually get up to the line.
I don't know. Well, we're
not talking about the United States. We're talking about Shanghai. This is.
I don't care where we're talking about. That just sounds convoluted. I don't know. It doesn't sound like something I'd be jumping to go to, Disney right now.
Well, you got to remember that they've been doing this since January. They've had everything closed. They've been scrubbing it clean. The whole country, not just Shanghai Disneyland. So if they're in a different time period, they're in a different interval for COVID-19. So they are well beyond. So think about they're 2 months. 2.5 months probably earlier than we started doing stuff, and that's
so
where they're at right now.
As looking in the future like a crystal ball. You can just look over there. Okay. Well,
plus, all that stuff is open air. You're not inside an arena like we are going to be with these wrestling shows.
That's something we haven't really thought about. Like, ticket prices are all about like demand. Like supply and demand. There's only so many seats we can fill, but we're only going to fill seats if it's a show worth watching. So I just wonder if ticket prices are going to go up if we're going to start allowing fans to attend, but there's mandated 6 feet apart. And obviously the seats as designed are not 6 feet apart. So that means you're like sitting families, with like 2 to 3 seats in between people.
It's going to be incredibly difficult to manage. The prices are built off of how many people can we get in based on all the people we're going to have to pay to make sure that this arena is functioning. So, yeah, if you're allowing less people into the arena, I can't imagine that the prices are just going to stay flat. They're going to go up. They just have to for the scale.
Yeah, it's almost like you could see both sides where they would go down because you don't know what kind of population wants to take the risk to go watch, like, one of the last regular season Red Wing games as an example. Like to risk getting sick just to, watch hockey in person when you could just watch it on TV. But, there's fewer seats and, you're going to get to the point where there's the playoffs and, it'd be kind of a cool ticket to almost like a private event because it's going to be a lot quieter. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Could kind of see both ways. But, man, still got a lot to talk about. We had the Wednesday Night Wars, AEW won, but we always know that's a hollow victory because we still don't understand how people are keeping track of like Nielsen ratings. Maybe they're looking at DVR recordings, but anywho, it was really just a really good week of wrestling this Wednesday. I hope that you get an opportunity as a fan of Brothers of Discussion to watch both shows. I think NXT, like, bell to bell was really good wrestling, and then AEW is again just another super entertaining couple hours. But we like to do the top 3 moments from each show. Matt, without further ado, what was moment number 3 from NXT this week?
Oh shit. Number 3. I didn't order these like we normally do. Do you go first with AEW and then I'll hit NXT?
Okay. I'm going to cheat and say my 3B was first just the welcome return to the whole announce team. I love Tony Schiavone, and I think Jericho did a fantastic job kind of playing like the, Jerry Lawler or like the Macho Man, just kind of putting jokes in, but, still having some wrestling know-how to help sell the show. But we actually had Schiavone, JR, Excalibur, even Taz made a little cameo. So it was kind of nice to get the real sounds of AEW like we want to get used to, for weeks to come. But moment 3 was probably the setup of the next title match. Mox was in there in a singles match, and he got eliminated by the Dark Order out of nowhere, and then Brody Lee announced himself as the top contender against Moxley, and I think that they've built Brody up in such short fashion to be a credible opponent. I would be surprised to see him lose to Jon Moxley. Whether it's by hook or by crook, I think the best move is to take. I think we're usually in lockstep on this one. Take the belt off of the good guy, give it to the bad guy, and then the good guy has something to chase. So I think it sets it up well. I think Brody is of all these monsters that AEW's suddenly pushing, Brody is the most credible one. He's the best on the mic. He's got the most, I'd say, creativity in his moveset. And I think he's ready. I think he's totally comfortable to, take the strap and run away with it. Matt, gave you some time there. If you want to touch on Brody Lee, it's cool. If you want to hit number 3.
Number 3, I'll say that, and a quick shout out to Amy D, who's always following along with us. But what didn't make my list is Charlotte and Io. And I'll just let me give a quick shout out here with Amy's remarks to it. Charlotte should have lost. Rhea was awkward. I might be a Charlotte mark, as Amy put, and we definitely know that after watching the Royal Rumble with her. But I'm a huge fan of excellent storytelling. That did not happen. I actually commented back to her. I said this was just a lazy way of keeping the status quo. Like, it was Rhea crashing the party so that Io isn't necessarily losing, and actually Io even walks away with the win because Charlotte ran away, so it gets counted out. It's silly. But yeah, that was baloney. But this was billed as a great week of wrestling. But it was also the week of like interference ending every goddamn match, and I'm not a huge fan of that. One of those matches is my number 3 because I like the match on a whole, and I think the ending could have been better, but here's some interference. But Dijakovic and Johnny Gargano did put on a good match. We already talked about it. They're going to be building the Johnny Gargano character that now he's a cheater, so that's why this had to happen. But again, just another instance of like why, the wrong guy, I think, taking the loss when Gargano's already at the top, and this guy probably could have waited a little bit. Maybe they're thinking Dijakovic doesn't have it with promos or something like that, because we've seen some pretty weak shit coming from him in that regard. But it's my number 3. I agree that, again, this was billed as a great week of wrestling, but there were not a lot of great wrestling matches on NXT. Just a lot of interference, a lot of things that sounded fun at the start, and then you were just kind of like, oh, that's the end of the match. All right, cool. So you're number 2, Mike, for AEW?
Yeah, I'm going to say we got another edition of Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk. This time we got to dominate QT, another one of Cody's boys. It was a typical, Murder Hawk match with him, getting the squash in, but
a typical.
It was
week 2.
No, he's had a run.
Oh.
No, he's won like five.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking.
You're thinking of the
tournament.
tournament.
About the whole tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. The way they're building this guy up from like week to week. They also had Brandy come out and cut a promo against Jake the Snake, where she's like, "I know how this story plays out. I know you're going to try and intimidate me, but I'll slap you in the face." But what she didn't count on was a little attack there at the hands of another young lady, the little Britt Baker. Well, bam.
Did you forget?
No, I got distracted there by something bad happening outside.
Great.
So everything's fine. It was just a bad thing that's over. Anyway, she did get to throw Brandy's shoe up into the crowd, which a lucky fan would have taken that home. I would have, heard that some people would be interested in that. And then what happened is Brandy got laid out on her back, and Jake the Snake came in and had a giant anaconda bladed across Brandy. And JR was just, thrown up in his mouth saying, "Oh, the symbolism there is disgusting." I don't know if he's trying to imply that it was a dick.
I don't think, I don't think that's what Jake was going for, but...
I don't either. I don't think he was laying his snake dick dong onto Brandy. But it was a great moment. It helps build up. Lance Archer is an evil son of a bitch. And Jake the Snake is an evil manager. But my favorite part was that Cody did not run in. And the reason Tony Schiavone gave that Cody did not run in, it's not Tony's fault. It was just what they produced. They said, we know Cody's in the production studio, and that's like a golf cart trip away. So the reason Cody didn't save his wife from a graphic-looking snake drop was because it was a long ride in a golf cart to get back.
And foreshadowing for how, I guess...
Golf carts were they were the trend of the night, but we'll get to that in our moment number 1. Matt!
How few
moment
far
number 2
in between. Number 2 would be again more interference, but Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream. Now here's the thing. I didn't walk away from this match. I didn't end my viewing of NXT and go, oh my god, I'm gonna remember this match for the rest of my life. This is where the argument comes in that this was such a blah episode of NXT, despite the amazing card that they had going in, because not an amazing match. It was fine, and again, more interference, and you just kind of felt like, oh yeah, so it's almost 10 o'clock. The match is probably going to end soon, and it did. So the night of interference continued. I don't have a lot to go on with this match. I guess this just means that there's more Velveteen Dream and Adam Cole to come. I gotta say, I think Adam Cole's reign has gone on way too long. I don't know if they're just waiting for because if there's any brand that needs that crowd, since they are really lacking in the storytelling and they're really reliant on in-ring storytelling and just the athleticism in their matches to keep selling this product. It is NXT, and they might just be waiting to take the title off of Adam Cole's shoulder at a live event, and that could be a long ways away. But the longer that they keep going with the Undisputed Era interfering and us getting more and more tired of it, the greater it's going to be when somebody finally takes the title off of Adam's shoulder. But Mike, your number one moment for AEW.
Yeah, and just before I dive into that, it's so weird for me, Matt, the way NXT is booked, where it's just like we're gonna give you like 90 minutes of just wrestling. And what's weird is I feel like most of the guys they sign, they're these indie darlings who are just the best mat workers, the best work rate. You want to talk about work rate? Like that you could ever want in your life, like as a wrestling promoter. So it's just weird to me that these guys who are already just excellent wrestlers are not given the opportunity to like learn how to tell harder stories. And then like when you come to AEW, that's like all my moments. Brody Lee developing his story. The Lance Archer story developing, with this Jake the Snake stuff. Nyla Rose coming in, squashing her opponent, snatching the mic and saying, I'm the most dominant MFer in the whole industry. MJF getting an opportunity to tell his story about his injuries and how he's like the next Rock, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper. It's all story. And then NXT, where I feel like we keep saying this every week, but they just refuse. They're like, no, we're only going to let these guys wrestle. It's just, the show's screaming for it. And my number one moment this week, Matt, was in AEW, was Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega facing the Sex Gods, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara. Matt, this match had literally everything. We already alluded to the golf carts. We saw the three faces of Matt Hardy. What the fuck was that? It's one of the things that, of course, Matt Hardy is the one who figured it out. Like, all right, we can do like low-grade magic here, right? Like, just turn the camera and I'll change my outfit. And he did it 3 fucking times. He came out as broken Matt Hardy. He turned into Hardy Boys Matt Hardy. And then he finished the night driving a golf cart as Damascus. It looked like it was a difficult golf cart to navigate because he couldn't quite figure out the stick shift. But he got it going, man. He got it going. This match had the golf carts, like I said. I had Jericho getting thrown into an ice bin at the event stadium. Jericho jumping out of it and smashing a bag of ice, and it shattered. There's ice cubes everywhere, and it was a beautiful visual. And then Kenny Omega rode a scissor lift into the sky and did a moonsault off of it. We had the standard fare with baseball bats and stuff. We had cones. Kenny Omega broke a caution wet floor sign on Jericho's back, and that bitch shattered, man. There was yellow plastic flying into people's eyes.
Yep.
And even Omega, after he hit Jericho, you could see him do a little ooh. So, man, it was just wall-to-wall entertainment the last 20 minutes.
It was funny that caution sign got like the biggest sell because he broke it. So it was like Kenny was like, yeah, like showing it to the camera and the 6 fans that were there.
Yeah.
It's still a piece of plastic, but
yeah, it looked cool. That's all. Sometimes that's what wrestling is. And the outcome didn't matter. Matt Hardy being so old and broken, after all the wars and ladder matches he's put his body through, it didn't matter. It was just a street fight. It was about these guys, having a fun, main event, the big names smashing each other. And again, it helped build the story because Matt Hardy and Omega lost. The Inner Circle got to dominate. So, we get to build up the heels a little bit more, and then see how the Elite can come back together. I was thoroughly entertained by AEW. But Matt, I have a feeling what your number one moment for NXT was. I'm gonna let you say it anyway. Matt, what took it home?
Xia Li losing to Chelsea Green, number
Son of a bitch.
1. Oh my God!
How could you do that to me?
I'm just kidding. No, Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux's
just the
entrance.
cutest puppy videos on Instagram.
Karrion Kross's entrance, Mike, is... I mean, it was like, you know, like you have those moments where you're like, I felt like being a kid again. Like, this felt like seeing Finn Balor the first time. It was so fucking great. And Scarlett Bordeaux, like, talk about selling an entrance. Holy shit. That whole thing, like, this has A+ written all over it. The scary part, though, is that we know, like, NXT has kind of been suffering in the storytelling aspect. I think we're getting kind of tired of the roster, so hopefully just this infusion of Karrion helps it out a little bit. But, yeah, the main fear is that this is where it peaks, is this first entrance, because he followed it up with a squash, and then they had that hot-looking, you know, exit from the ring. I just, like, top to bottom, it was... you got to see, like, on display is his power. There was a ton of sex appeal with that, like, an actual couple being in the ring together, where you kind of wonder, like, what are Aleister Black and Zelina Vega thinking right now watching that entrance? Like, what could they come up with?
Yeah.
But, so where was I? You've got, all right, the strength and power, the sex appeal, and just, the potential for, like, fantastic storytelling coming from a guy that just sold the shit out of your first match. Like, that was awesome. And it's funny because we keep talking about the lack of good storytelling in NXT. And again, thanks to Amy for chiming in as you know, the big reason why Charlotte Flair and Io, while there is story to that, it's super lazy storytelling. But yeah, this is the one piece in NXT I thought they did a great job, where everything else just kind of felt like, yeah, we get, of course, Candace LeRae is going to help Gargano take out Dijakovic, and of course, the Undisputed Era is going to help Adam Cole win. Even though I'm wearing my baby shirt, I still, yeah, it's a problem with NXT that I feel like somebody left and was given just a template of how to write NXT, and they forgot that the template, like, the main things at the top were like, do something new, and I think they just keep doing the same old, like, here's the interference because this guy's a bad guy and he has somebody with him. This guy has a group behind him and we're not quite ready to, you know, to turn over a title. Like, just more reason to, like, let's have somebody go out and do a promo instead of doing an 8-minute championship match that ends in a schmaz. Like, just skip it. Don't give me shit and tell me that this match card is gonna blow my mind, and then I watch it and I'm like, well, I wish I had watched the main event for AEW live instead.
It was pretty effing cool.
But yeah, I mean, go ahead.
With what you said about Karrion and Scarlett, I think that somebody at WWE knows what they're doing, because that entrance was. You figure how many guys, all they do is, like, turn the lights down, you know, to help them get, you know, more of a pop, you know, and they come on the screen for the first time, and it's still its own unique entity. You know what I mean? With this swirling, like, Vixen character and Scarlett and Karrion coming out like the big red roar. You know, it looks like a demon coming out of, like, Dante Alighieri's, you know, Ninth Circle of Hell. They know how to build these guys. So it's somebody back there. He knows what he's doing. I know he knows what he's doing, but it's like, to know that they have that capability. It's just a weird, deliberate choice to have this vanilla mat wrestling for 2 hours. No stories.
Yeah, and we talk about it, you know, now this is the third time we've said it during this episode. We talk about it week after week. At some point, we need to break up this comparison of these two shows because it makes no sense. And, you know, I in our notes, we have our AEW section, our NXT section. I think about next week, it's just about time to cut the cord. We almost tried a couple weeks ago, and now we brought it back, but it's just, we're comparing two things that aren't the same. And it's almost a disservice to both of them because they can both serve an audience. They're just serving them in different ways. So yeah, it's just AEW seems to be more of our cup of tea, or we're just saying we'd like NXT to change, which, you know, you talk about any relationship you've ever been in. That's not fair. You can't just ask someone to change so that it's better for you. You need to go find the thing that you like, and maybe we just need to start watching AEW week after week and wait till NXT comes up with a good match, and then we'll watch that later. So, Mike, speaking of things...
Yeah, we're running out of time. We got to try and jump into Money in the Bank. Take it away.
As always, we probably could have skipped. Let's see. Let me just do this real quick. We could have skipped our 20 minutes on Shane Thorne and Ricochet. Our 5 minutes talking about Gargano's new song.
Another huge 5 minutes.
5 minutes on AJ and lack of storytelling having any sort of continuity in the timeline of WWE.
All key components of the show, man. Let's get into Money in the Bank.
So let's run through this SmackDown Tag Team Championship Fatal 4-Way. I'm hoping this isn't more smoke screening, and we're being told that there's going to be 4 tag teams, and in fact, there will only be 4 tag teams involved, but it will be a one-on-one-on-one-on-one. But whatever happens. First match, we've got the New Day, Miz and John Morrison, the Forgotten Sons, and Lucha House Party going for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Who I'd like to see win here, Mike. I'd like to see Lucha House Party get a goddamn win one of these days. They go, so they're like 1-50 so far this year. So they're like, oh, these guys. The wrestling blogs that immediately were like, these guys are pegged for a championship match. Like, not a championship run, just the one win out of 50. And all the blogs and Twitter posts that night were, oh, it's probably because they're getting a championship match. I think let's just give Lucha House Party the goddamn titles and have them just be infused with the New Day for a little bit, if possible.
There's something I was trying to remember. Oh, the Forgotten Sons. Man, I think they get their comeuppance. They floundered.
They never win a match in NXT.
To put it nicely, in NXT. But you know what? This is a world where, let me scroll up to remember that guy's name. Vink won. Matt, in a world where Vink can win, I think the Forgotten Sons can win. They get off the schneid and they become tag team champs. Boom.
I mean, my pick is the New Day, but I'm glad you're taking the Forgotten Sons because I want to be match.
Like you said. I want to be more excited about this match, but it just smells like there's going to be some weird, representatives of tag team match, and it's just there's got to be a better way to do this.
Well, you've got so we asked the Brothers of Discussion Universe to chime in, and Amy was nice enough to, and she let us know her pick actually is also the Forgotten Sons. To take this
Amy, that's what I'm talking about.
So yeah, you guys are in agreement. SmackDown Women's Championship, we've got Bayley and Tamina going at it. Come on, Bayley's winning this one. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this match even a little bit, but
this is definitely a palate cleanser because what are we doing having 2 heels fight each other for the SmackDown Women's belt? It's just really weird booking.
And I mean, this has to set up. There's more Sasha and Bayley set up here, right? And then leading into SummerSlam.
This is literally just treading water, playing Duck Duck Goose, like musical chairs till we get the SummerSlam match. The match we should have got at WrestleMania, which is Sasha versus Bayley. I don't know if those 2 women are saying no, not yet, but this Tamina Bayley story does nothing for anybody.
And then we've got Amy's going bold in 2 different matches. She's picking Tamina on this one.
No, not Tamina. What?
Amy, you're crazy pants, man. I can't believe you're going Tamina on that. So here's the thing. She says she's got a reason why she's going with Tamina. She's got a story all pegged out. So maybe we can get some answers from Amy and talk about it next week. Or if she's right, we'll figure out what's going on by next week's episode and ask Amy to come on. Universal Championship match, Mike. We have Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt. This is tough to pick.
Yeah.
Because Braun wasn't supposed to win this title, but was Bray Wyatt supposed to take it right back, after losing it to Goldberg? Interesting question, huh?
In some capacity, we were supposed to be Roman Reigns involved with this decision, who is, for some reason, in the big dog house, if you will, for daring to have cancer and then wanting to quarantine himself from possibly catching COVID.
I don't know why he's... Is he in trouble?
I think what we're basing that off of is the WrestleMania 31, where he was erased out of footage, and how he's not been mentioned on TV. Like, even for, all these Make-A-Wish advertisements and marquees that are all over the place. We know Roman is, nobody's at the John Cena level, but he was doing his part to, be there for these kids with terminal illnesses. And he's just not even mentioned in that anymore. So I think people are kind of reading a little into the tea leaves, but, sometimes quote street profits, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Where Matt, there's I agree. There's profits. Actually, that's right. So getting back to the card, I gotta say, we brought it to Roman because he should have been in this spot, and I think Roman versus Bray would have been a much more interesting match. We're not going to get a Firefly Funhouse match. I think we're just going to get. We're going to get a lot of power slams, and I think it's going to be a Bray Wyatt win. A lot of power slams, and Braun's going to tire himself out, and it's going to be like Rocky fighting. It was Drago that he had to tire out, right? Or was it Mr. T? Because if he tired himself out with Drago, he would have died, because he would have taken those punches that had 2,000 pounds of pressure behind him.
I think he actually had to use a similar strategy on both guys. I know Clubber Lang, he got tired at the end. That's why they had to go 15 rounds. I don't remember it for Drago. But, man, the way this company abuses Braun Strowman, you got to pick Bray. But then the way this company abuses Bray, you got to pick Braun. I'm going to say there's some DQ and they push out like an actual finish. Like Braun will get frustrated and, Bray will win. And then he'll beat him up later as The Fiend. So Braun retains, but then The Fiend comes out. So this is going to be a no title-changing hand.
I'm going to pick the same thing then for the WWE. So I'll say my pick is Bray Wyatt. I'm going to pick the same thing, though, for the WWE Championship match. Drew's retaining. There's going to be some sort of shenanigans. And Seth and Drew, like I said the last couple of weeks, this is a match that could have been SummerSlam. You could make an argument that this is big enough to be in a WrestleMania. So a one-off and Money in the Bank just isn't enough. And I don't know if there's anything else to say. Yeah,
this is kind of the time when we've seen like AJ and Nakamura build their feud out. This is a time when we've seen like Kevin Owens and Cena build their feud out. I think the one maybe kind of wrench in the machine is the timing of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Just because I could see some shenanigans where, they want to give it to Corbin or something like that. But it's just Drew is doing such a phenomenal job cutting promos, being even more charismatic than he was before. It's like this, he's just been injected with all this confidence and it just oozes out of him. He's just perpetually oozing charisma and confidence. He looks amazing. It'd be such a dumb move to like waste what we've done to this guy. Like he's doing such a great job with the rocket on his back. He should absolutely still be champion after Sunday night. So
whatever happens, you're saying Drew's walking out with the title.
Yeah, I think Drew and Braun both leave with their belts. Yeah.
I think this next match is going to pull the curtain, and that's probably why Becky Lynch doesn't have a match, is so that there isn't like this scare or they have this issue of when to book two different women's championship matches. But the women's Money in the Bank is what I'm talking about here, and that's what's going first. and then you've got Bailey and Tamina going, but Sasha will be protecting Bailey, so they'll be able to tell that little snippet of a story. Now, winning the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Oh, you know what? I've been skipping. I forgot about Amy here. Let me pull her up and give a quick shout out to who she's picking here. So WWE Champ is Drew, and she gave little kissy faces for Drew, and then Universal Champ is Strowman going forward. And then her women Money in the Bank pick is Shayna, and I think we got one more person pick Shayna as well, and that was Lorenzo Beretta on Twitter. Let us know that Shayna was their pick for Money in the Bank. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for tweeting us back. I think Shayna would be great. I think Nia Jax is taking this. Shayna just had her shot. Nia Jax would be able to chase after the person whose face she broke with that Money in the Bank. And she could come out and scare Becky. You know, like, they could come back to that story, even though there's no continuity in the WWE. But it's not going to be Dana. It's not going to be Lacey. It could be Carmella. I think she, you know, like, she did such a great job with it before. It turned her into a superstar. But it's not going to be Asuka because, unfortunately, while the WWE has made some strides in letting Asuka do some amazing work with Japanese promos, I don't know how that would work with the Money in the Bank, or if it's just her holding it up and having that tell the story. But I think Nia Jax chasing after Becky Lynch would be a lot of fun. So that's where I'm going.
I think they had their opportunity with Shayna, and it looks like she's going to take a back seat for a while, kind of like Asuka did around WrestleMania when she lost to Charlotte, and then she just kind of it kind of looks to be like Shayna's going to be in the same boat, where she lost her match to Becky, and it seems like she's just kind of drift away for a bit. Mm-hmm. I think Nia Jax needs it the most. I think Shayna could be scary in a heartbeat. I think she'd be perfect for the Money in the Bank briefcase, but company does not have the same love for her that I do. So I think they're going to go with Nia, and I think they want her to cut her mean, tormenting promos, for weeks to come and be haunting Becky, like you said. So gets us to the last match, Matt. The men's Money in the Bank. We got AJ Styles. This is his second match back. He qualified Monday. He's in. We got D-Bry. We got Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, King Corbin, and Matt. Bless his blue collar heart. Otis is in the freaking Money in the Bank match. I can't believe what I'm saying. It's real. It's getting pushed, kind of, Matt. We've seen Daniel Bryan try to hook him up in the past by making him look like $1 million in some tag matches. Otis has zero chance of actually winning. But I'm just happy that he's going to be rubbing elbows with, some of the best in the business. Obviously AJ, Bryan, Aleister, and Mysterio's a living legend. And then Corbin. Matt, is he the pick? Is there a greasier slime ball that you can imagine, like, just to formulate in your head and have a perfect trophy for him than Corbin?
So here's the game you have to play: is Braun Strowman winning or is Bray Wyatt winning? And then are one of these guys a good match for chasing Drew McIntyre? I don't know if any of these guys work to chase Drew McIntyre because he just doesn't seem right now like anybody's going to scare him. Like you were talking before about his confidence. So then who's going to be chasing after Braun or Bray? And does anybody really chase after Bray Wyatt? And is it even possible to cash in Money in the Bank on a guy that can just disappear? So it is really tough. And the last shout out here to Amy was she said it is tough to pick, but anybody but Rey Mysterio. And I do agree with that. To answer your question,
yeah, me too.
Is it Rey Mysterio does not make any sense with any of those, like what we were just talking about.
If he's 619, it's Drew McIntyre and takes that belt. I'm just trying to imagine where I'd be emotionally.
I'd look like the picture behind me. I think Daniel Bryan makes a lot of sense. At least from the perspective that he can turn on, like the snarky heel if he has to be kind of a cheater to get the win with the Money in the Bank. We know he can do it. Otis makes zero sense. AJ Styles makes a lot of sense because even though he'd be dwarfed against Drew and Braun, he's proved in the past that he can keep up with Brock. So it's not something that I would ever think like he couldn't keep up with those guys. But I guess I'm making the argument that he's a good fit for whoever's holding the title. So that's where AJ Styles works because he can work with anybody. Corbin makes sense just because what else are we going to do with Corbin, right? So those are probably my top two. Corbin's my number two. AJ is my number one to take this. And I think the putting AJ in this late is just this idea that they didn't want you watching the lead up to the Money in the Bank going the whole time. Well, of course AJ's going to win because fucking Otis Dozovic is in this match. So, I'm going to go with AJ.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rey Mysterio and Otis are the most obvious outs, and then probably Aleister Black is the next out, just because they haven't really given him a chance, and I don't think they've really expressed that they think that they're serious about him being at the top of the card. Man, it would be a hell of a match to see Aleister Black versus like Bray Wyatt, but as far as watching somebody hold that briefcase, turn to a referee, and I want to cash in right now.
Right, and that doesn't make sense for Aleister and Bray Wyatt. What makes sense for them is to have a long feud where there's storytelling and they both get to be weird and creepy.
Yeah, and the same right now for Daniel Bryan. I got to think the favorites are Corbin and AJ, but it's almost like Corbin is too obvious. You know what I mean? As the sneaky, slimy heel. I think that this is probably AJ's to lose because he hasn't really had any wins, any marquee wins in a while. And I kind of feel like WWE we're really sorry that we released your friends and you got buried by the Undertaker. What do you think of that?
Right.
Oh man, where's Carl? I guess I'll name this briefcase Carl. That'd be a cool little meta thing if you named it, Carl or something. But yeah, I gotta pick AJ. I want Aleister. I want Otis. Blue collar. Oh yeah, but it's gonna be AJ, man.
So with that, everybody, I hope you do enjoy Money in the Bank. Obviously, we'll be live tweeting it and memeing it on Instagram at brothers_of_discussion and on Twitter at BOD podcast. Find everything else, all the links. If you're looking for ways to subscribe to us or follow along, if you go to BOD Podcast and BODpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com, it's going to be in the top right corner of the screen. We'll have all the links, including our YouTube page where you can subscribe, and Apple Podcasts is the best place to rate and review us to help us out with podcasting. But we are everywhere you can find podcasts, including Spotify, Google Play, Breaker, Anchor, Overcast, Radio Public, Stitcher, and so many more. So find us there if you're looking for the Brothers of Discussion. Everybody, enjoy Money in the Bank, and I guess that's it. Mike, have a good one.
See you later, man. I gotta go. My foot fell asleep, but just pretend that I was climbing it on the ladder out of view.
All right. That's not how that works. You don't go down. All right. Bye, everybody.